All right, hi, and welcome to part two of the pricing boot camp. I wanted to show you guys how to create your spreadsheets, which we already kind of went over already, but also how to interpret markets. Alrighty, pause that. Okay, so right now you guys can see my MRIS. So I'm going to log into MRIS and show you. At this point, hopefully you guys have been able to create your spreadsheets. So, all right, let's go into MRIS and create that spreadsheet. Okay, so we had a subject property in here. It was on Hidden Garden Lane. Hopefully you pulled the tax record. I give you a bunch of descriptive information about that property. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a search. And so just however you guys do your CMA searches, and I'll show you how I did mine. I'm going to do my CMA. Basically did Ashton, Olney, Brookville, Crinklow, and Sandy Spring. And I did a list price of $650 to $750. How did I come up with that price? Basically, kind of knew a price range that I was thinking it would be in, and stuck with that. So here we go. I get my results. So this was the CMA. I'm going to just do the solds. So I can go back. Criteria, we're just going to look at the solds for now. Click sold, hit results. Got all these. And then remember, what's the next step? We export. I have my sold CMA already set up. Remember, out of our list, I had my sold CMA set up, and I export it. It's going to download that CMA into a CSV file. All right, so here's my my sold CMA. There's a couple things you're going to have to do in here to modify your spreadsheet. These are things we talked about in the previous example. So in here, I usually take out my above grade square footage. This is what agents typically put in. I do find that this can be helpful, especially if you have a property that might be a new build. For instance, this Hickory Meadow is a new build. But for the solds, I'm actually going to take out, these two are both new builds over there in Olney Springs. So I'm going to delete those two out of this search. And then I don't need this above grade square footage. Take this out. Okay. I'm going to insert a column in here because I want to create a net sold price. Why net sold price? Because the house sells for $660 and they give $30,000 in closing. Technically, it really didn't sell for $660. It sold for $630. So I want to get that net sold price. So I'm going to create an equation in here. I'm going to do the close price minus the seller subsidy. Hit OK. Then I'm going to pull this formula down. So we're going to copy that in there. Now we got our net sold price. All right. The other column I need to create is I need to create a price per square foot. Price per square foot is an equation. So we're going to put an equation in there. And then we're going to do our net sold price divided by our total living tax area, right? Hit OK. Do that. I'm going to pull this down to copy it. I'm going to format these cells. Right-click, format cells as currency. All right, and now I'm going to sort from largest to smallest. So I'm going to sort these properties. So they're going from the highest price per square foot to 86 down to 148. This 148 is an REO. I'm going to actually take out this REO too. Okay. So one thing we want to do is look in here and see if we can find any trends. So we've got 286, 252, 223, and then it drops down to the 200s, 180, 177, 160, and then down to 154. That's a pretty big spread of price per square footages. So I'm going to look in here for some trends. So one thing we went to in the past has been our basement type. So what I do recommend is take out some of the stuff that does not pertain really. So this is going to be, connecting stairs. So basically the criteria I really want to see is it either a walkout level? Is it walkout stairs, which means it's not a walkout level? Is it fully finished or is it unfinished? So those are the kind of criteria I want to get out of this. So what I'll show you is this is kind of like on those cooking shows when they start cooking the turkey and then voila, they pull out the cooked turkey. I'm going to pull out a cooked turkey for you. All righty. So let me pull that. Basically, it's the same spreadsheet, and I've done my modifications to it to show you exactly what those will look like. All right. So this is the modified sold spreadsheet for that same criteria. So I pulled out a lot of that information out of the basement type. See how I've cleaned this up? It's only the fully finished and the walkout levels. Side entrance, this tells me that it is a walkout too. Okay, so that's one thing. Looking through here, so looking at the solds, a couple trends in here that I did find. So one thing was square footages. So most of the properties with the high end price per square foot were all 3,000 square feet or below, right? This is the total tax area right here. The properties that were in this mid-range, these are all, just in the low to mid 3,000 range for taxable, total tax square footage. And then the bottom range is your high 3s to 4,000s. So all of these are 3,800 and above. Again, our subject property is 3,206. I looked at the year built. I didn't see any major trends in the year built, so that really didn't help me a lot. Looking at the basement types, so most all had fully finished basements. Looking at these walkout stairs. This one had a cellar. This was a historic property. Let's see, fully finished, unfinished, partially finished. So basements weren't really a big help here. So far, one of the trends, I've got one trend is going to be the living, taxable living area. They're definitely stratifying themselves out in there. The other thing is I found was exterior. So looking at their exterior construction, this property is all siding. And looking what's sold, the upper range was all brick and siding. There was no all vinyl properties in that upper range. In the middle range, we see a mix of brick siding, siding only, brick front siding, siding only, and then wood. And then in the bottom range, kind of a mix as well. So looking at our trends here, so we were 3,200 leads me to believe we should probably be in this range. And then siding wise, we should probably, be in these two ranges, definitely not up here. Lot acreage is a little all over the board. You have some 2 acres, small properties. We've got a small 1/4 acre lot on the property we're trying to price out. Again, it's pretty much all over the board. Everyone's got a little bit of smattering of big lots versus small lots. I didn't find any major trends in the neighborhoods per se. So the big trends I would be looking at for this type of property, again, would be living area and siding. So in that case, I'd potentially be looking at a square footage range of 207 to 188. So if I do some math here, let's say on the high end, 207 times our square foot, which was 3,206. 207 times 3,206 gets me a list price of 663,642. So I'm not sure if that's the correct number or not. And this is where what you'd want to do is look in your this is where we're going to go analyze these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, these 8 comps to see if we should be in the high end or low end of this range, right? Okay, so that's looking at and analyzing kind of on a real level. How do we analyze and look at these comps? One other thing, again, this property didn't have this trend, but sometimes what you'll also want to look at, and you'll have to actually look into each individual listing, is going to be where's the location of the bedrooms? Because again, sometimes in these properties you'll see, oh, it's a 5-bedroom, it's a 4-bedroom, it's a 3-bedroom, but actually, above grade bedrooms, there's only 3 above grade bedrooms. So those are things you want to look at as well on the bedroom side, what that location is. Unfortunately, MRIS doesn't have a level 1, level 2 bedroom selection. You have to kind of go into each one. But again, as the pros, I think this is an important thing to make sure you know everything about each and every comp. All right, so that's our solds. Let's now run a report on our expired. So we go, the 3 categories we're always looking at are going to be sold to tell us what has sold and what's had success. What hasn't had success, those are the expired. So that's where we're going next. So let's look at our withdrawn and expired properties that are in the same criteria range. All right, we had 13 of them, so we're going to check these. Export them. I've already set up my expired CMA, and then I'm going to go ahead and export those. So here is what that spreadsheet will look like. Okay, one thing I did do is I went through here, and I'll show you the kind of the doctored up version. I went through here and I took out a couple of these actually were relisted, and they're actually going to show up in the active. So I took them out of the withdrawn status. So I'll show you what that's going to look like too. So here is the let me see here. Let me see. Let me find the expired one. There you go. Okay, so this is my expired CMA. Again, I did all that. I did that equation. Came up with my price per square foot. You don't have to worry about doing the sold prices. So you don't have to worry about doing the sold prices because it's just the list prices. Okay. I did include the original list price to show that some of these even went through reductions and still didn't sell, which is important to see. And we have a good idea. One thing that's pretty amazing in here is looking at all the unfinished basements. This is one thing. Granted, ours has a finished basement. Looking at all of these that have unfinished basements, there's a good number of these that are unfinished. All right. Other things we have in here, I didn't find a lot of other trends, but what you want to look at is looking at these prices. Again, a lot of them were more towards the high end. Remember the high, we were looking at the middle range. We were looking at the sold CMA, the middle range, that 207 number. Most all of these were way above that 207 price per square foot number. So getting over and above that 207 price per square foot, the success level drops off. I say extremely. And, even in the, where people didn't find success is above that 193 number. So that's just a kind of a little food for thought when you're looking at, someone wants to say, well, let's try it a little higher. Okay. And then the last CMA that we did was on the actives. So we're going to go back to our results. We're going to create one for our active properties. criteria, active, take this out, results. So these are the active properties. Select all of these, export, active CMA, export. Okay, now I'll show you what the finished version looks like. All right, so here's the finished version of the actives. And again, what we do with the actives is we take this, we sort by the list price, not by the price per square footage anymore. Price per square footage, this is where, so we're kind of going back to our pricing class. Solds tell us what's had success. Expireds tell us what hasn't had success. The actives is the last step, is where we kind of adjust based on what's on the market, where we think we should be, based on the homes that are available in the marketplace. And the reason why I was kind of specific about using a property on the street is because there's one that's already on the market right now, and it's a little bit bigger, and it's at $750. And again, a lot of times what will happen is, your properties will want to price it where, if one of their neighbors is on the market, they're very similar, they want to price it exactly there. The one thing is, rarely do people say, show me all the homes that are only on this one street or only on this one in one neighborhood. That people are going to be looking outside. So you have to be competitive, not just within your neighborhood, but outside of your neighborhood as well. So based on our calculations, so remember we were talking about that 207 as the price per square footage number that we were going to shoot for. So at 207 price per square foot, that would have put us at, we would be at 663, 642. So at that number, that actually puts us kind of at one of the cheapest homes in this range. Is that the right number? I don't know. I think probably you would, in this case, I'd say you'd have some flexibility to go up based on what's available in the marketplace. And in this case, you actually may want to even look below what's below this marketplace. But I know with the neighbor on the market at this number is going to be a lot harder for that seller to swallow. So there's got to be you're going to have to come with a lot more data to help them understand why, if one of their neighbors is on the market, which, personally, I feel this price is probably a little on the high side. And I'm kind of joking when I say just a little, but I think it's significantly overpriced. So that's one battle you're going to have to overcome when you do come up on a property like this, where you've got a neighbor that's priced quite high. Other things you're going to look at is looking at some of the pricing, figure out kind of where you should be based on, I'm sorry, not pricing, but based on year built. And again, I'm going to looking at the acreage to see if there's any trends in the acreage. But again, if we came in there probably like a 675, I think we'd probably be priced very well based on what else was on the marketplace. So that's kind of my run through. I was hoping to have some people on the line so that we could actually go over your examples too. And, I think there's no wrong way to actually price properties. I think for the most part, our agents have their pricing strategy really well built. A lot of times it just gets down to how do we demonstrate how we came up with that pricing, and how do we justify that pricing, and how do we help people understand that that's actually an accurate number. Because again, we see many examples where people push the price way too high, and then they have to reduce it below where they originally would have been if they just priced it right in the beginning. And that's one thing we want to prevent with our clients. All right, so hope you got something out of that. If you have any questions, please feel free to take your spreadsheets, show them to me. I'd love to work with you on a one-on-one basis. All right, take care.